we go. Hi, my name is Eileen Murphy, and I'm the founder and CEO of ThinkCERCA. And we teach critical thinking through argumentative writing. Because whether there's a test or no test, these are the skills that actually differentiate us in the 21st century from the machines that will replace many of the jobs that are replacing low-skilled workforce jobs. When we think about the ability to consume information, it's getting easier and easier through things like YouTube and podcasts. But the ability to think about it critically and to express one's point of view effectively is actually incredibly difficult to learn. And it's difficult to teach. So what we do is we bridge the gap between very basic English learning that can be done through really great apps like Duolingo and Babbel, and the kind of access we can have to online lifelong learning that not only in college or in our professional lives, but for our personal edification. Getting there is really hard, and most people never do. In fact, even in countries like the US, only about 34% of our fourth graders are on track to get there, and about 27% of our 12th graders graduate with the ability to write effectively enough to be able to access opportunities in the workplace and in college. We also have about 32 million functionally illiterate adults in the US who have passed through the system and haven't gotten that effective ability to do things like search Google and write an email. So we tried replacing teachers with computers, and as our most recent NAEP scores showed a couple of weeks ago, we haven't actually made a dent since 1998 in our reading growth as a country. I was actually fully aware that that wasn't working because I was the director of curriculum and instruction for about 115 schools in Chicago, where I had previously spent 15 years teaching high school and opening up actually the #1 high school in Illinois, ranked 16 in the US. And I knew that you could never take the teachers and the students out of this equation and actually effectively teach people to communicate, whether it was verbally or in writing. We subtracted the two key reasons why people come to school in the first place, the teachers and the other students. So as I stood there in the backs of 115 schools in the classrooms with 111,000 students and 10,000 teachers and principals, trying to retool that workforce for the new standards and assessments that we were implementing, I realized we needed a plan, and it had to be simple and it had to be technology-based. So I developed the CERCA framework, which provides teachers with the lessons they need to be able to teach a really simple but incredibly complex skill, which is how to make a claim, support it with evidence, explain your reasoning clearly, address a counterargument, and use audience-appropriate language. If you've labored over an email or a presentation over the past week, this highly educated group of people right here, you know that you can never actually master that skill, but some people never even get to practice it, not once in their lifetimes. And we know that that's how you're going to access opportunity in our economy today. And this is where you learn it, and this is how you learn it. You learn it with other human beings. So what we do is provide high-interest lessons, like how do you stop a disease from becoming a pandemic? That's one of our math sets. We provide that lesson at 11 different levels. We added one since the slide was made, I just realized earlier, but we added a higher ed level. But we make that accessible because, like teachers in Chicago that I worked with, you could have a 3rd grade level reader or a 10th grade level reader in that same 7th grade class. So we want to make sure that they can all learn together, and that means doing something that's just right for you at your level, something authentic that builds your capacity to read a real-life text, not a rewrite, not a watered-down version of something. Everybody gets to work on that and make arguments using a very scaffolded research-based process out of the University of Chicago, and basically build their claims and express their point of view effectively with each other. Meantime, the teacher gets to circulate and give you real-time feedback. So there's nothing more effective than a teacher who cares about what you just said, giving you feedback in as real time as possible in terms of getting gains. And I'm just going to quickly flash through a sample in one of the largest districts in the country who just adopted it for every one of their high school students. You can see that students within a very short period of time have developed their ability to read critically, write critically, and express their point of view in extremely sophisticated ways. So that is over the short period of time in 8 weeks. District and school leaders are using this to manage their literacy instruction, get insight into real-time performance of their students. And we were winners of the Coursera Challenge the Gates Foundation put out a few years ago. We have consistently outperformed every other product in controlled studies of those products, including a most recent one, which showed that we had actually 4 times more growth in student impact, an average of about 2 years of reading growth per year. We save teachers about 9.5 hours per week, and we make it possible for principals and superintendents to know what the heck is happening in their classrooms in the first place. And that makes district leaders really happy, like Jody Barrow, who doubled the number of students meeting and exceeding standards in his district just outside of Atlanta. In Chicago Public Schools, we've actually closed the achievement gap, bringing schools that had maybe 30% of students meeting standards to 100% of students graduating at grade level, saving the district a ton of money, about $160 on us over the course of 4 years, instead of $4,400 on interventions that were failing anyway over the same 4 years per student. That's hundreds of millions of dollars. So we're focused on closing the achievement gap in these districts. We work with the top 600, a very strong focus on the top 100. We're all urban district leaders. That's where we come from, and that's what we know. So you can see that our partnerships across the schools are growing across the country. We work with districts in 42 states. And we have raised, most recently, a round of growth capital and are excited to be able to expand with our partner Follett, who led our Series A and participated again in our Series B. They work with 90% of US schools and are helping our sales force reach many large district leaders fast. We're also excited to have closed a partnership with TAL Education Group, who, as you know, because they're sponsors here, are also very actively growing very quickly their English language learning program and are expanding not just in basic English, but through the academic English learners who are obviously the population of people seeking academic language instruction and critical thinking instruction is growing like crazy. And that's why our free platform, which is another lead generation tool for us, is growing like crazy. So we have users across 132 countries who are accessing this instruction. So we're proud to have support from major foundations who believe in our impact, and investors like Scott Cook from Intuit, who also invested in our impact. But we're also really excited to have an amazing a group of board members, including Tom Chi, who is the founding head of experience of Google X, who developed the driverless car, Google Glass, and is now actively working with our product team to scale this impact. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.